Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to the Swedish Biathlon premiere in Idre Fjäll, Sweden. Yesterday we had an action-packed day in the sprints where we saw the domination of Sweden's greatest current biathlon superstars, Sebastian Samuelsson and Hanna Öberg, who shot the perfect 10 out of 10 in their respective sprint races. And this morning we saw more Öberg domination with Elvira taking the victory in the women's sprint competition with the perfect 10 out of 10, despite the fact that we have some tricky wind conditions to contend with here on the range. The wind flags are blustery and are highly changeable, but the sun is very much shining. We have absolutely beautiful and arguably perfect conditions here in terms of the air temperature, minus 3.2. I think every biathlete's optimal temperature is there or thereabouts, with packed snow and 78% humidity. It's a little bit nippy in the air, but these biathletes are very well versed in how to contend with these conditions. The shooting, of course, going to count for a lot today, as it did yesterday, with many of the men shooting the perfect score, 10 out of 10. Sebastian Samuelsson, most notable among them, and claiming a 42nd victory over Germany's Philipp Horn. Simon Kaiser taking third place in yesterday's sprint, and Justus Strelo of Germany taking fourth. So the Germans really showing their full force and full potential here, because a lot is at stake in these races. The Germans are undergoing their selection for the most important Olympic season. Milano Cortina, the 7th to 23rd of February. Most critical time for any athlete's career is when the Olympics are looming. And now, every single shot is more important than ever, given the fact that there is no penalty loop. A time penalty will be added on to any athlete's mistakes on the shooting range, a time of 22 seconds in total. And we can see the beautiful scenery surrounding Idre Fjäll, where they've managed to prepare fantastic tracks, 2 kilometers long. And as a result, in order to make the 10-kilometer race work, they're doing 2 times 2 kilometers before the prone shoot, 2 times 2 kilometers before the stand shoot, and then just 2 kilometers into the finish. 5 laps. Let's take a look at the course profile now for the men. It's a steady incline all the way up to the high point of the course, which is there, and at the turnaround point, it's a nice gentle cruise all the way back down through the stadium, and where they'll turn around the camera point there, and then it's a nice gentle descent to the lowest point of the course before the steady and somewhat arduous climb back up into the shooting range, where they will prepare themselves physically and mentally for the calm of shooting, the antithesis, the opposite of the aggressive nature of skiing, and one of those aspects that makes biathlon so interesting to watch. Seeing the biathletes contend with the hard physical skiing, and then in contrast getting down onto the mat and having to control all of that aggression. And the international biathlon community will be watching these races with keen eyes to see just what sort of form we can expect from each respective nation. Sebastian Samuelsson typically showing very good early form. And we'll take a look at the starting order in just a moment. Lucas Fracture, bib number 1, is going to be starting us out. Zachna Rene. He will also be in wearing bib number 2. He's no stranger to starting early in these races, and Simon Kaiser of Germany taking out bib number 3. Some notable names to look out for, of course, Sebastian Samuelsson, yesterday's winner. He's wearing bib 117. Philipp Navrat of Germany wearing bib 19. Lucas Hofer not finding himself in the greatest shape yesterday. He's starting bib 121, but of course, these races are very much just an introduction, a warm-up to the season for many of these biathletes. Further down the order, we've got Reitmüller of Germany wearing bib 33. And lots of different nations participating. We've got Nathan Carter from Great Britain starting bib number 46, just ahead of the Norwegian Flotten. And again, more Norwegians deciding to come and participate in this race, as well as Pauluk of Poland. Estonia, Poland, Sweden, Great Britain, Germany. Quite an international field, and quite an opportunity for a lot of these athletes to mentally prepare for what kind of quality their training has given them in terms of performance now, and how that will be towards the end of the season. But 86 starters. We have Helmer Johannek of Sweden, who's going to be taking the final leg today, or the final start number today. And we will be covering all of it, so please do stay with us to watch all of the action unfold, and be aware that so much now is at stake for the Germans. A little bit of additional pressure on this man, Lucas Fratscher, who has typically raced on the IBU Cup and the European Championships. And he did race in the Loop 1 festival in Munich as well. And slowly finding his form, but 31 years of age. And you can see that the athletes are resorting to jogging as they warm up for this race. Many of the early starters have the privilege of skiing around and warming up on the track. But then some of those a little bit further down the order don't quite have that privilege, and as a result need to do running because there is a lack of snow. But once again, Idre Fjäll has made it happen. They've produced a fantastic amount of snow so that the track, there's 2 kilometers of track that we can use for these races, and these biathletes travel far and wide to come and use one of the world's greatest facilities at this time of year. You can see a lot of these biathletes preparing with energy gels, getting sugar into the system, so their body has lots of easily accessible fuel at their disposal. Sverre Roysland of Norway, now the shooting coach for the female team, the German female team. And we can see that the German females are shooting incredibly accurately, a testament to Sverre Roysland's effort. He was my former coach as well, and quite an exceptional coach at that. He's a big believer in the think of only one thing when you're shooting. Focus all of your attention on one aspect of the very complex process. And that's what Lucas Fratscher now, who is about to get underway, is going to be focusing his attention on as he gets started. Lucas Fratscher now, the first out of the start gates for the men in this 10-kilometer sprint. The Swedish season opener has now begun, the second day of racing. And we've had so much drama and so much excitement just from the first day of racing, and lots more to come today. Zakna now preparing to get started. And he is no stranger to success here in Idre Fjäll. We saw in the sprint in 2024, last season, Zakna was on top form, finishing in 3rd place behind Jesper Nelin in 2nd and Samuelsson in 1st. And now Simon Kaiser, deep breathing, getting oxygen into the system. And now he gets started. He knows fully what is at stake for the Germans. So much. It is selection. These races will determine who races on World Cup, who races on IBU Cup, and so many of those athletes will be dreaming of Olympic glory, will have been training for Olympic glory, and will have their expectations either made or shattered this season, but it all starts here today. The Germans, the Swedes, many of whom have already been pre-selected, if not officially, certainly in the minds of the selection committee. Sebastian Samuelsson, it's an easy choice. Today's race for him is not about what position he comes in. Today's race is about following a good process. Justus Strelo, a great race for him in the Loop 1 Festival. And now he's getting started again with some good races yesterday from Germany. Justus Strelo finishing in 4th place, hitting all the targets. 59-second ski speed behind Sebastian Samuelsson. So it's good to keep an eye on Strelo and see how he's coping on the skis today after yesterday's incredibly fast push. Cymbal of Ukraine, another great young performer who has the privilege of starting sandwiched between two very highly ranked A group performers. Every second starter is in the A group, and everybody who's sandwiched in between them is selected from the B group, something like what the FIS cross country do. And now Philipp Horn for Team Germany. Once again, Team Germany having such a good start yesterday. Philipp Horn, 2nd place, 1 mistake in the sprint, and only 39.9 seconds behind Sebastian Samuelsson. Take away 22 of those seconds, the cost of the penalty loop. And then we have him down at 17 seconds behind in terms of ski speed. So we know Philipp Horn is in great shape. Henning Sjöqvist of Sweden now having the opportunity to follow Horn and see where he is relatively on the course each time they go past the passing points. And by passing, I mean where the track is running parallel. The athletes can sometimes look at one another and take note of where they are, relatively speaking. Sometimes that can be distracting, but for Emil Nyqvist, he's going to be focusing very much on his strategy on the shooting range. Like I touched on earlier, so much of the shooting comes from just focusing on one aspect of the performance, not getting distracted by all of the other variabilities that are out of their control, the noises around them, the other people on the mat, the sound of the audience. Searching for that state of calmness is a real skill. And now Leonhard Fund of Germany finishing 9th yesterday with 1 mistake. He was the 6th fastest German. And 6 athletes are available for the Olympics. And looking down the order, David Zubel, a top performer from Germany last year, as well as Roman Rees, as well as Johannes Kuhn. Lots of big names now from Germany who are fighting for very few spots. And Roman Rees, he's been there and thereabouts for a long time. Roman Rees now 32 years of age. His top race ever was the individual victory in Östersund on the World Cup. That was in 2023-24 season. And now Fracture, approaching the 2.7 kilometer mark. That's after having done 1 lap, plus the 700 meters back up to the highest point of the course, which is here, setting a time of 5 minutes and 28 seconds. This race, of course, being the exact same as yesterday. Martin Ponsiluoma, one of Sweden's greats. And he gets underway now, hoping to salvage some of yesterday's mistakes. Martin Ponsiluoma with 3 mistakes in the shooting in total. 1 minute and 10 seconds behind the lead. And that's with a time of 66 seconds of penalty added on as a result of those misses. So we know that Ponsiluoma is skiing very, very quickly. 1 minute and 10 seconds, or I should say 6 seconds approximately behind Sebastian Samuelsson. And speaking of Samuelsson, here he is, getting ready. David Zobel. 10 seconds behind the leader, Simon Kaiser, after the first lap. 15th yesterday. 3 mistakes on the shooting range, very costly. And now David Zobel, he is underway and has some good company behind him, a teammate who perhaps he will be dragging along, given the fact he now has fresh legs on this first lap. But now charging up the hill, everybody having to focus on their own race, taking advantage of whatever benefits the track and the circumstances give them. Justus Strelo now approaching the 2.7 marker, where Kaiser has set a fast time, 11 seconds faster of Justus Strelo of Germany. Kaiser, Fratscher, Strelo. So far, the Germans are skiing quick, but a lot of the big names, such as this man, Sebastian Samuelsson, is still to get underway, and therefore we can expect to see some of these timings be shattered by this man, Sebastian Samuelsson, an absolute legend, 4th last year in the overall men's World Cup standings, an Olympic medalist times many. And Philip Horn now skipping past the 2.7 kilometer checkpoint with 5.6 seconds to his advantage. And you can see the effort he is putting on just based on the grimace on his face. And now take a look at the shooting range, the wind flags at the top right of your screen. If we are given that opportunity, they have been changing all day. Sometimes it's blustery, sometimes it's still. And Fratscher is taking a look at those flags and determining how different are they from when he zeroed. No corrections to the sights. The implication being there's no change required. Hit. And 5 out of 5. Nice and controlled shooting. On average, 2.8 seconds between every single shot. A lovely start from Lukas Fratscher of Germany. He could not ask for better. It was controlled, it was disciplined, and that's going to see him well throughout the rest of this race. And Simon Kaiser now coming in with a very quick time. You can see the countdown clock there, 41 seconds and counting, is how long it took for Lukas Fratscher to hit all 5 and then get past the time gate just outside the shooting range. The first shot goes down in 16.2 seconds. And taking multiple breaths, it's a miss for the 3rd shot. Kaiser with 4 out of 5. You can see the time has been adjusted to account for those 22 seconds added on. And now with a deficit of 18 seconds, Simon Kaiser has work to do against his rivals, many of whom are in his own team. The Germans are out there for selection. Justus Strelo of Germany You can again see the countdown timer, but having taken this first lap ever so slightly slower, 32 seconds and counting. And we'll have a look at the win flags, absorbing that information. And you can see, moving from left to right, during the zero, at times, the flags were moving right to left. But the first shot goes down in just 9.3 seconds, incredibly quick. And was it too quick? The first shot did not go down, but the remaining 4 absolutely did. It's good shooting, but with a deficit of 21 seconds, Justice Strello has work to do. Martin Ponsaloma now skiing 7.8 seconds slower than Lucas Fratscher. And that tells us something about how much the German team want this race, these performances, how much they matter to the Germans. Now Philip Horn taking his time between each shot. It's a very challenging entry to this range. And he gets the final shot. Great shooting from Philip Horn, and it looks like he is going to come out just ahead of Lucas Fratscher with a time advantage of 7.8 seconds. Excellent shooting from the German, and so far so good for the Germans. Also Zachna of Estonia, he's gone clear as well, but 24 seconds down in terms of timing. David Zobel 13 seconds off the pace at the 2.7 kilometer mark. Now Henning Sjökvist a little bit behind after lap 1. The opportunity is always there to open up in the latter stages of the race instead of attacking too aggressively in the early stages. But Sjökvist now, with one mistake and skiing a little bit off the pace, has found himself some 50 seconds behind. But let's take a look now at Sebastian Samuelsson, the biggest name here in this field. 1.1 seconds to his advantage at the 2.7 kilometer mark. That's ahead of Philip Horn of Germany.
Half a second behind Philip Horn.
Leonard Fun of Germany settling down. You can see the wind blowing his hair. You can see the wind flags unsettled. Sneakvist is also shooting the top right of your screen. So far so good. Leonard Fund has made an adjustment to his sight, implying that the wind conditions are up. But Nyqvist, great shooting there from the Swede. All 5 targets have gone down, and he's just given way there to the athlete coming on to the mat. Poles are on, and he skips past the shooting 1 checkpoint with 46 seconds down off the leader. So not skiing as fast as he might hope. And equally, that is the case for Roman Rees, who misses his first shot. And now misses his second. We've seen some adjustments of the sight. The wind more aggressively coming now from the left to the right. And therefore, the athletes adjusting their sight into the wind. 3 remaining hits after making the adjustment. Perhaps a little bit late to do that. And here comes Martin Ponsaloma. 3 mistakes yesterday in this race. 5th place. Can he put yesterday's wrongs on the range to rights? So far, not so good for Martin Ponsaloma. Missing the first 2 shots. Now he's just made a 3-click adjustment to his sights. Moving the sights to the left against the wind. And the 3rd target goes down. Now Ponsaloma took his time. He got the remaining 3 shots, but those early 2 misses were quite disconcerting. You can see the aggressiveness of those wind flags now, and perhaps the cost that many of the biathletes will pay if they choose not to make any corrections. The coaches will be passing on the information about the increased wind, about the implications it's had for some of these early starters. David Zobel of Germany in the top right of your screen. Oscar Olsson on the bottom. Zobel 15th yesterday with 3 mistakes, hoping to shoot more accurately today, but not a good start. And a lot of these athletes taking a lot of time between shots, implying that they're really having to think about the winds or even respond to the wind. But perhaps some underestimating just how heavy the conditions are coming into the range and how out of breath, how high the heart rate is coming into the range. But Zobel really needs to climb up the order. Yesterday with 6 Germans all ahead of him in the results. Now then, Sebastian Samuelsson getting his first shot down in 14.6 seconds. Taking his time, 4 go down. And he gets the last shot in perfect control. The audience, the crowd, give a little cheer in excitement as he creates a 2.4 second advantage now ahead of Philip Horn as he comes out of the shooting range. Not as distinct a lead as he had yesterday. Perhaps he's pacing himself a little bit more sensibly. That said, it wasn't like he did it badly yesterday. His victory was absolutely profound and very far ahead of everybody else. Philip Navrat, he would have been very disappointed to see that with 1 mistake. He was 7th place. It was good shooting, but his ski speed let him down. 1 minute behind Sebastian Samuelsson. He's made 2 clicks left, 1 click down. Of course, side-to-side wind has an impact on the up and down fall of the round. Those adjustments meaning his first shot was down 16.8 seconds, a little bit slower. Excellent shooting. The rhythm fell into place, and Philip Navrat now exiting the range with some time behind despite hitting all the targets. And his time now coming out of the shooting range. Lucas Fracture, the top right of your screen, Alfred Eriksson on the bottom left of your screen. And Fracture having some issues on the 3rd shot. He takes a few extra breaths trying to steady his legs, and it's worth it. He gets the next shot, but look at the shaking. He's not comfortable behind that rifle, but he gets 9 out of 10. Despite the shaking, despite the physical lack of control with those blustering wind conditions. Great shooting today, and he is wearing bib number 1. He's likely to cross the line or the first one to cross the line. But he has Simon Kaiser hot on his heels, and very much with a possibility now to set the fastest time. But taking what seems like an age to get to his first shot. Resettling, rebreathing. And the first shot does not go down, 29.6 seconds. And everything is changing now on that shooting range as the wind is intensifying. And we can see just how much time has been lost by Kaiser, and the wind is absolutely up. Gusting at this very moment. Terrible timing for Kaiser. And Fracture does not know how lucky he got to get his 5 shots down before this wind, these gusts came through. Great shooting, great control from Kaiser, getting 4 out of 5 in the stand despite those awful wind conditions. Yes, he has lost time, and now 32 seconds the deficit, but at least he was standing on that mat, getting rested legs as opposed to having time added on to his shooting, or adding on to his overall performance just by virtue of missing. So great discipline there from the German. Johannes Kuhn has historically been a very reliable shot in the prone, but has struggled significantly with consistency in stand. You can see the wind flags flickering even more aggressively now than they were before. Good shooting there from Kuhn. Slow, 30 seconds, or I should say on the back end of average in terms of speed. But right now these biathletes are focusing on hitting those targets, and the wind is doing all it can to make that as challenging as possible. Now Kuhn is out of the range, and Sebastian Samuelsson is actually tucked in right behind him, as I can see from the commentary booth here. So two incredibly fast skiers working together on this next lap. Philip Horn now really taking his time, and you can see the tree swaying in the background, just demonstrating how unbelievably difficult it is and how lucky those early starters have been to get through the first prone before these gusts. But Philip Horn is struggling. Jesper Nelin is doing great. 2 shots go down, lots of time between each shot, but there is no stability. And Philip Horn misses 4 out of 5. What a disaster. And Jesper Nelin misses his last 2 shots. Of course, the German selection committee has to look at the ski speed. They have to look at the wind conditions. They will know that Lucas Fratscher got a little bit more fortunate than the others in the stand shooting than some of his teammates. But these decisions are seldom objective, as Jakob Larsson now missing 2 out of 5 in prone. And Fratscher, 9 out of 10. We can expect that to be one of the best performances of the day, certainly on the shooting range, with how much wind we've seen. So what an opportunity for Fratscher to show what he is capable of. He is giving it everything. He knows what's at stake, and he crosses the line. 24 minutes and 3 seconds. What a performance from Fratscher. Yesterday, 24 minutes and 37 seconds for Fratscher, and that was with 4 mistakes. So perhaps the snow conditions being a little bit slower, given the fact that he struggled so much with his shooting yesterday. Emil Nyqvist. He raced on the World Cup last year. 22nd place in the pursuit with his good shooting in Antolz, and he gets 5 out of 5 in the stand. That is 10 out of 10. Now, what a day to produce such incredibly good shooting for Emil Nyqvist, and that's certainly going to put him on the radar for the selection committee for Team Sweden. Excellent shooting when the circumstances are so challenging. And now let's see how Martin Ponsaloma fares. He's shooting fast, and it's 2 mistakes in the stand, 2 mistakes in the prone. A total of 88 seconds added on to his time, 1 minute and 24 seconds. Kaiser, slow shooting in stand, but accurate. 8 out of 10, great shooting today. Danilo Reitmüller of Germany, missing his first shot, but getting the remaining 4. 1 miss in the prone is nothing to scoff at when the wind is making it as challenging as it is now. So we take a look out on the track. We can see Johannes Kuhn there at the front, followed closely by Justus Strello of Germany with his 8 out of 10 hitting, as David Zobel of Germany is now coming to the shooting range, getting 4 out of 5. Great shooting for Zobel as Justus Strello crosses the line, 44 seconds off the leading time behind Fracture. David Zobel now on his final lap as Sebastian Samuelsson misses his first shot with these windy conditions, and you can see him readjusting his elbow, hoping to find some semblance of control amidst the gust. The first shot, 2 shots do not go down, and nor does the third. It's not a good start for the stand shooting for Sebastian Samuelsson. And this is a full demonstration on just how difficult the shooting conditions are right now. Of course, Samuelsson knows he is going to be selected for the World Cup, but nevertheless, a disappointment experience in the stand shooting, but one that is totally understandable in these terrible conditions. And he is now going to be attacking on this last lap, still with every opportunity to rise very high up the order just by virtue of his fast ski speed. You can see Filip Navrat going up the steepest part of the course just before the shooting range. He is easing off. You can see how much he is settling, so that when he arrives on the mat, the stand mats of course being closer to him than the prone, he is well rested. He will have received information from the coaches about the misses and the challenging conditions on the range, and is in a very good position, should the targets all fall, to be in contention for a top 3 today. The first goes down in a respectable time of 17.2 seconds. A miss for target number 2 for Filip Navrat. He gets the third. He's taking his time. He's having to really settle. It's reaction shooting for Navrat. He misses the 4th. And the 5th goes down. It's good shooting. 8 out of 10 is well above average today, as we see Martin Pozzoloma now with 4 mistakes out of 10, charging towards the finish line, putting in a really triumphant effort on the tracks. That's after having shot a little bit less than he would have liked to have hit today. And 29.1 seconds down is Martin Pozzoloma's time, putting him so far in 2nd place, ahead of Simon Kaiser, Justus Strello and Zakna of Estonia, all of who shot better. An excellent performance from the Swede, currently in 2nd place. Sebastian Samuelsson shooting exactly the same as Pozzoloma. It will be interesting to see the impact that has on his result. But Lucas Fracture now has an absolutely phenomenal race under his belt, finishing 19th yesterday, and what could be a very hard time to beat today. Malte Stefansson a little bit off the pace as he settles in onto the mat. But now David Zobel, another excellent shooting from a German, with only 1 mistake in prone and 1 mistake in stand. He's coming towards the finish line and is just 1.7 seconds down behind his teammate, shooting the same. Excuse me, shooting 1 worse, but getting in ahead of Martin Pozzoloma by 28 seconds as Stefansson of Sweden misses just 1 target in the prone. And Stephenson doing great yesterday, missing just one target and finishing in 10th place, putting himself very much on the map, getting himself ahead of Jesper Nelin of Sweden. Jesper Nelin pretty fixed as being the third best Swede, but here comes Sebastian Samuelsson now as he comes towards the finish line. 34 seconds and counting off the time. 4 mistakes, the same as Martin Ponsiluoma. And he finishes 42 seconds down. Sebastian Samuelsson, after yesterday's victory, just falling in behind Simon Kaiser of Germany, 4 seconds off the German's pace. But all that needed to be achieved from the Swede, Sebastian Samuelsson, yesterday was achieved. A victory that could quite easily have been a victory on the World Cup. But we are seeing the likes of Isak Frey of Norway and Botten of Norway producing some absolutely fantastic results on the Norwegian season opener. But now Jesper Nelin, it is an opportunity for him to get in ahead of Martin Ponsiluoma's time. It would not be easy. He must hit all of these targets. The win flags are definitely more settled now than they were. And you can see he is still delaying his shooting because the win flag that we saw probably is not representative of the range as a whole. He resettles. It's 3 out of 3. It's excellent shooting from Jesper Nelin. 4 out of 4. He makes 5 out of 5 despite the really tricky shooting conditions. That's excellent shooting from Jesper Nelin as he comes out of the shooting range with a time behind the leader of just 54 seconds. That now putting Jesper Nelin in 11th place, but with an opportunity to climb up just by fast skiing. He can get to 7th place ahead of Emil Nyqvist, but he's going to have to work very, very hard. A good disciplined shoot from the Swede. As Jakob Larsson, another example of how tricky these conditions are, struggling and getting 50% hit rate. Anton Duchenko of Ukraine. He has not missed today. And there is no evidence from the image we're seeing now that the wind is up, and certainly from his shooting, it looks to be calm. 4 out of 4, and he misses the last shot, a shot which he desperately needed for what could have been a really excellent result. But with the misses we're seeing today, 1 miss out of 10 is excellent. 45 seconds back, and that puts him very much in the mix. Having a ski battle with many around him to potentially finish anywhere from 7th ahead of Sebastian Samuelsson, right down to 11th, where Jesper Nelin currently is 51 seconds down. And now Danilo Reidmüller of Germany. An opportunity to take the win should all of these targets go down. This is his moment. 2 out of 2. He's taking his time. The third goes down. And he misses the fourth instantly. 22 seconds added to his time, and he misses the last. He's skiing incredibly quickly, but now with 66 seconds of penalty added to his tally, that's going to be a mountain too hard to climb. But for Johannes Kuhn, he has done fantastic. He's hit 8 out of 10 and is now charging towards the finish line to see just where he can place himself after yesterday's disastrous 25th position. Johannes Kuhn now coming across the line with 22.4 seconds in the red, third position. Ahead, or behind, I should say, Fracture and Zobel, his teammates. Martin Ponsaloma just in behind him by 7 seconds. And Victor Brandt, another, with still an opportunity for a podium if he gets the rest of the targets. He does not. And the wind is really shuffling the order. Melker Nordgren with 2 mistakes, the last 2 shots. The bitterly painful shots to miss, especially when the preceding 8 shots all went down. Almost a near collision there. Right of way coming out of the range, but when 2 people are coming out of the range, then it just has to be a calling of track. But Victor Brandt now, excellent timing coming out of the range. He's in 8th position and has the opportunity, just in terms of ski speed, with Simon Kaiser only 7 seconds ahead of him, and he's in 4th. So an opportunity now for Victor Brandt. The Germans, after shooting 2, holding the top 6 positions today in this race. And Jesper Nalin coming towards the finish line, giving everything he has, and finishes with 59 seconds down off the leader, Lucas Fracture. And it was a good last effort for Jesper Nalin, who came out of the shooting 54 seconds down and lost time on the last leg to Fracture, just in terms of ski speed. And now Victor Brandt, 41.5 seconds at the 8.7 kilometer mark. And Brandt, 41.4 seconds coming out of shoot number 2, so losing absolutely no time at all on ski speed to Fracture. A good hit for Artem Chichenko of Ukraine. But again, you see the shuffling, the moving of the elbow, the extra breaths, the wind blowing the hair off the biathletes. The bib is waving in the wind. These conditions are incredibly tricky. Our very own Sebastian Samuelsson missing 4 out of 5 in Stan. But Artem Chichenko, one of the few to get the full 10 out of 10. Excellent shooting from the Ukrainian, and another one in a ski battle who could finish anywhere from 5th, or 4th I should say, all the way down to 17th, just by whether they can pick something, find something special on this last leg on the ski speed. From 4th all the way down to 15th. There is only 22 seconds separating those 11 athletes. That's 1 athlete every 2 seconds. There is so much to play for. 2 seconds and you can lose a position. As Danilo Reitmüller comes towards the finish line, having hit 7 out of 10, is currently some 40 seconds, 39.3 seconds behind Fracture of Germany. 6th position. And he will not be pleased to find out that ahead of him are 4 Germans. Kristo Siemer of Estonia has not missed a target so far today. Until I spoke, the second stand does not go down as Motta Steffansson of Sweden arrives on the map. 9 out of 10 for Siemer, another one battling it out on the skis for a great result. Steffansson struggling, needs to gain his composure. 3 mistakes so far in the stand shooting. Victor Brandt crossing the finish line, 43.7 seconds off the lead, skiing almost exactly as fast as Lucas Fracture did, barely losing any time at all, just 0.2 seconds since leaving the shooting range. But what an excellent performance from him, missing 3 and getting himself in ahead of Jesper Nalin, who only missed 2. Let's take a look now at the standings so far. Lucas Fracture of Germany currently winning with David Zobel in second, and Johannes Kuhn with a brilliant comeback performance from 25th all the way up to 3rd. Yesterday's 25th, all the way up to 3rd today. And that is going to make selection very, very challenging for the German team when we see such a shuffling of the order. But it seems that all is said and done with Lucas Fracture leading the race from the very beginning, wearing bib number 1, taking advantage of his advantage where the wind was not quite as strong on the shooting range. And getting the targets down. Now Malte Stephensen, 1 minute 25 seconds off the time. But if we compare today's results with yesterday, David Zubel finished 15th, now finishing 2nd. Johannes Kuhn finishing 25th yesterday, now finishing 3rd. Fracture winning today quite possibly, although it's not finished, but finishing 19th yesterday. That means that 3 Germans who all finished outside of the top 15 yesterday, or 15th and beyond, have all come in the top 3 today. Now, I would not like to be on the selection committee for the Germans, but Victor Berglund, now he's had 9 out of 10 and is 28 seconds down at the 8.7 kilometer mark. Berglund doing phenomenally well on the skis and finding himself in quite a remarkable 4th position at the 8.7 kilometer marks with just 1.3 kilometers outstanding, most of which is downhill. Artem Tuchenko, great shooting from him, 10 out of 10, one of the few who managed it, and 1 minute and 13 seconds down at the finish line in 17th place. But now the Swedes will be keeping a keen eye on Victor Berglund. Berglund, quite an inexperienced biathlete in terms of international racing, and the reason for that is because he's only 22 years of age. He raced at the Junior World Championships last year in Östersund, and in the mixed relay finishing 7th, individual 21st, that's with 2 penalties, and the relay 13th, mass start 60, 31st. No real results to speak of at that championships that could precede or could foreshadow such a performance today from Victor Berglund. So he's obviously had a great year of training, and what a great result it will be for him today. As David Nyqvist is coming towards the finish line, 2 minutes and 20 seconds down, finishing 32nd. But could this be an opportunity for Victor Berglund to stamp his authority down on this most impressive field of athletes, finishing ahead potentially of Martin Ponsaloma, who at the 8.7 kilometer mark was a full 7 seconds down behind him. Philip Lindqvist Flotten of Norway coming in for his first prone with the dancing flags at a very good time, currently still in the green, but of course that will run away from him. For every second he spends on this mat now is a second in the red, but still the time separating the top 10 is 42 seconds at the 8.7 kilometer mark, 49 at the finish. First mistake for Flotten, Lindqvist Flotten. And 2 mistakes there, putting him out of contention for a top 15. But here is the man of the day, Victor Berglund, who is coming towards the finish line, doing everything he can. The young 22-year-old crosses the line 39.4 seconds down, finishing in an impressive 7th place, in ahead of Sebastian Samuelsson, 3 seconds ahead of Sebastian Samuelsson, the Olympic gold medalist. And Victor Brandt, another great performer amongst the Swedes, demonstrating that the Swedes has future firepower coming from the youth categories and the junior categories. What a race from Victor Berglund, the 2nd fastest Swede of the day. Oscar Jansson. Missing his first shot. And looking a little bit surprised by that fact after 20 seconds of waiting, but he adjusts his rifle accordingly. And that seems to have had a good impact on the shooting, as the next 3 targets go down. And so too does the 5th, Oscar Jansson, now with only 1 mistake in a time of 44.5 seconds. And now, for those of you who have been watching from the start and are keen to know the status of this race at this current moment, Lukas Fratscher of Germany absolutely stole the show, winning by only 1.7 seconds ahead of teammate David Zobel of Germany, and 22.4 seconds ahead of Johannes Kuhn of Germany. All of those biathletes finished 15th or outside of the top 15 yesterday. And today, as was yesterday, is selection for the German World Cup team. And those who make it will have a very good chance of being in the selection committee's considerations for the Olympic Winter Games in Milano Cortina from the 7th to the 23rd of February 2026, where Sebastian Samuelsson will be looking for gold medals. Matthias Modin struggling there with the wind and missing 4 targets. And yesterday, we saw some great races from the likes of Isak Frey and Botten of Norway, doing a great job to get in ahead of Eric Perrault, who we know is one of this year's greatest prospects, as well as Sulholm Legride and Sebastian Samuelsson for the men's World Cup total score. But a bit of a disaster there for this young man, missing 4 out of 5 and standing up with a lethargy that comes with missing so many targets, as Vincent Green lays down to contend with the wind. And you can see the mastery that the top-level performers have over their rifles, over the squeeze of the trigger when the wind conditions are this bad, just by virtue of how few they missed relative to some of these later starters who, in their own right, are fantastic biathletes, but comparatively speaking, are not able to match the same standard of shooting. But we saw Sebastian Samuelsson missing 4 out of 5 in the stand shooting. A disaster by his standards, but with little consequence in terms of selection for the World Cup. He knows he'll be there, and he knows that what he did yesterday with this 10 out of 10 was all that he needed to do to send a message to the rest of the biathlon community around the world that he means business, and he is using this year and these selection races as build-up for Olympic success. Christians Karlsberg now coming in to shoot with a deficit of 55 seconds and counting. And looking again at the result sheets, the likes of Seaman Kaiser finishing yesterday in third and today in fifth. He's the most consistent of the Germans. Good shooting there from Christian Karlsberg. 144 behind at this point. It'll be about 150. But going back to the consistency of the German team, for whom so much depends on today's and yesterday's results. Danilo Reitmüller of Germany missing 3 today, skiing really well. But Reitmüller not having an excellent race yet, or having an excellent race yesterday, finishing 6th. Twice in a row he managed to finish 6th, and therefore will be another very stable choice for the Germans. He's proven himself capable of doing it in the fantastic wind conditions of yesterday and the extremely challenging ones of today. Benjamin Vinde of Norway making the journey to Sweden to compete here. So many from different nations coming to see these races, to take part in these races, and to be part of what Idre Fjäll is able to create year on year by producing such unbelievably high quality snow conditions, despite there not being much natural snow around. Sondre Hedsten Svan of Sweden, shooting quickly, shooting very accurately, but missing the 4th shot and missing the 5th, perhaps getting that little sensation in the gut of optimism and excitement after getting the first 3. A very common occurrence in biathlon. When the first target goes down, sometimes the body has a completely unwelcome but natural reaction to be excited about the possibility of hitting more. There is a dopamine response when the targets go down. Oscar Orefold of Estonia now shooting with quite varied time between each shot. Jonathan Vinde with a very tall position. His left elbow is very far underneath his body. His right arm and left arm, elbow to shoulder, are not parallel, which is the most common thing to see for biathletes. Although it's not a bad position whatsoever. You see the likes of Hanna Öberg with a very tall position like this. But 3 mistakes there for Jonathan Vinde. And the starters are still getting underway. Today we have 86 starters, the last of whom is Helmer Jonemark of Sweden. We have Hjalmar Gedda of Sweden now settled down on the mat and conducting his breathing routine, all of which was done within 19 seconds before the fall of the first shot. And again, interestingly, an inconsistent breathing routine between shots. 4.6 to the first, 2.8 to the second and third, and then 4.4 to the last. And that is not to say that it's wrong, it's just an interesting thing to observe. There's so much data in biathlon that these exceptional performers, as each one of them undoubtedly is, they always have an opportunity to take a look back at the statistics, to watch back if they have that unbelievable privilege, to see where they can make changes, where they can enhance their performance going forward. And Philip Lindqvist Flotten had a great opportunity to put himself amongst the top today, but missed two, unfortunately, in his prone. But even now, can find himself in the top 20 if all the targets go down. Now that is made even more challenging now with the first miss, but only one miss in stand. That's 7 out of 10.
One penalty, only one penalty in the hard standing shooting. Henning Linkenberg ifrån Toulouse lägger på nummer 6. Och ska se då, Filip Lindqvist, han är till 26. Norrmannen.
Henning Linkenberg missing his last shot, getting 4 out of 5. One minute and 34 seconds in the red. And for those of you who have enjoyed the first half of that race, it's been a real privilege to bring it to you. I've been Scott Dixon, and let's take one last final look at the overall standings. We have Lukas Fratscher of Germany in the leading position. David Zobel, 1.7 seconds down behind his time, in second, and Johannes Kuhn in third. All three top three podium finishers today were either 15th or outside of the top 15, with Fratscher finishing 19th yesterday, Johannes Kuhn finishing 25th yesterday. And so the German selection committee has their work very much cut out to decide what is possible and who can get it onto the World Cup, who can make it onto the IBU Cup, and then later in the season, who's going to be on the Olympic team for Germany. Is not an easy decision, but as for Sweden, very clearly Martin Ponsiluoma with his 4th today and his 5th yesterday, despite lots of misses, proving himself to be perfectly reliable in terms of ski speed, just needing to sharpen up the shooting. And of course Sebastian Samuelsson, without a doubt, is going to find himself selected. But Victor Berglund of Sweden did a fantastic race today and a very surprising result. And Johannes Kuhn, 3rd place today. A long fought comeback, 25th position yesterday, all the way to 3rd today. David Zobel, 15th yesterday, 2nd today. With composed shooting, only 2 mistakes, and skiing very quickly, faster than Fratscher, who only missed 1 target. The wind conditions for Fratscher were something of a blessing, whereas less could be said for everybody else, where the wind picked up aggressively. But Zobel crossing the line 1.4 seconds back, and he'll be asking what he could have done to find an extra 1.7 seconds, and I'm sure he has an answer for that, because Lukas Fratscher has the glory, he has the victory today, missing just 1 target, claiming the top result in 24.3 seconds. Yesterday, the fastest time was 22 minutes and 30 seconds. Excuse me, I said 24 seconds, but of course I meant 24 minutes and 3 seconds. And Lukas Fratscher was the man today to take the victory. It's always difficult to compare times after each day, with the sugary conditions potentially altering the speed over the snow. And now Simon Ragnarsson Hallström of Sweden, producing so far a very fast ski speed into the shooting range. He's been around for a long time and is such an accurate shooter, particularly in training. He struggles to tie it all together when it comes to this competition period. That really is just a demonstration of how difficult it is in the psychological department. He missed 3 targets, and he would have been thinking today is an opportunity to put himself on the map once again, as he has been in the past. But with that shooting, it is not going to happen. He, of course, has the right of way there. You could see the intersection of 3 different tracks: the start line, the looping, and coming out of the shooting range. Knut Wikström of Norway now, 27 seconds down and counting. But outside of the German performances, for those who turned it around, again, interesting to see Victor Berglund, the youngster from Sweden, producing a result of his lifetime to finish 7th. 39 seconds down and finishing ahead of somebody who he probably deems to be a hero, Sebastian Samuelsson, of course. Four out of 5 for Wikström. Good shooting in these conditions, but you can see the wind is still blustery, but somewhat settled relative to the random gusts that we had before. We certainly hadn't seen those conditions all day. They just came out of nowhere. And what a shame for those athletes who got caught up right in the middle of it. Nathan Carter from Great Britain doing excellently in the shooting range, missing just 3 out of 10, and that's despite very tricky wind conditions. We can expect him soon into the finish line, but right now, taking a look at the Polish biathlete, Uberniak, who is currently over a minute behind. Uberniak's international representation for Poland has extended to the likes of the IBU Junior Cup, and he's had 2 races there, but at the Youth World Championships, he's still a youngster, only 18 years of age. He competed well there in the individual, finishing 60th place, 7 mistakes, shooting all 5 targets down today, which you'll be pleased with. 4 out of 5 for Daneskog. These latter positions now may seem inconsequential, but to each one of these biathletes, they have prepared and have come far and wide to make it happen, as has Kusdal of Poland, hitting all 5 targets in the somewhat calmed wind conditions. And they all have an opportunity now to compare themselves against where their expectations, first and foremost, but also each other in terms of selection. Jakub Potniak of Poland, missing 4 out of 5, shooting very, very fast. Perhaps unnecessarily fast, but of course, it could also very well be the case that that just simply is his routine. Frederick Volbe of Estonia now. Getting the first target down. And only 1 mistake for the young Estonian. A good performance in the prone so far. 38 seconds the time to get those 4 targets down. nothing to scoff at, particularly if you look at the average shooting after shooting number 1. Lots of 2s, lots of 0s, many 1s, but also a good number of 3s and 4s. Helmer Jonemark of Sweden now. His elbow right beneath the rifle. Head weight on the cheek piece. But adjusting the elbow, perhaps with frustration, at 2 early misses. And he opts still to just shoot at the far left target and missing the last. But he is absolutely devastated with that. You could see him shaking his head, taking a moment to express his frustration or vent his anger before continuing with his race, perhaps fueled with the adrenaline of frustration, as Henning Lindenberg of Sweden now, having missed only 1 in the prone, has an opportunity to do something quite special right now, missing the 3rd shot and the 4th and the 5th, and what a shame now for Henning Lindenberg of Sweden. 4 mistakes, and he would have known, after having been told quite likely from his coaches around the course how well he was doing. Sometimes that information is very unwelcome if you're not expecting it. Of course, some of the best biathletes in the world, they want to know, and that information is valuable. But for some, information can be damaging. Manus Udam of Estonia. Only 1 mistake in the prone. And you can see that tree behind Udam now. You can see the wind blowing in it. But what a difference from now to when Sebastian Samuelsson was in that exact same spot. And the wind was ferocious. We saw one of the best biathletes in the world, the 4th best male biathlete of last season, miss 4 in stand. Manus Udam missing 3 out of 5 in the stand shooting there, and sauntering away, looking frustrated. And Lapka now loading in his stand magazine. You can see the rifle drills are extremely varied in how people take the rifles off. There's loads of options, loads of ways of doing it. But one way, the fastest way by Uldal, is done by so few, despite it being a proven quick method. And speaking of quick, Lapka there, hitting 4 out of 5 in 24.3 seconds. One of the fastest shooters of the day. But 3 minutes, 13 seconds back. And again, of course, that's not impacting the overall race results and those at the sharp end of it. He'll be pleased. And comparing himself with the very best in the world. And Nathan Carter of Great Britain finishing 6 minutes and 30 behind the leader, 55th place. And if he's not pleased with that, he should be. Equally, Rasmus Veneme of Estonia. He's not missed any targets. You can see the short, sharp breaths coming from the lower abdomen as he sucks in oxygen. So far, so good for the young Estonian. Excellent shooting from Veneme of Estonia, hitting 10 out of 10 in 34.5 seconds. What a performance. And he has taken full advantage of the fact that the wind has settled, and it's almost like the wind, the nice wind, sandwiched all the top athletes who just got unlucky, but at least it happened to the vast majority of them. As Hjalmar Gedda of Sweden crosses the line 2 minutes and 25 seconds in the red, but finishing in 40th place. As a result, that can be perceived by them individually, by these athletes subjectively, as being great, depending on their goals, depending on their form, and depending on their expectations. Simon Ragnarsson Hallström, he missed 3 in prone and was one of the most remarkable athletes to train alongside, as I had the privilege to do. He would almost never miss a single target all summer training. He was close to 100% over thousands and thousands of shots. And he used to hook up his arm sling in the stand, something very, very few biathletes do. And now the first 2 shots go down with ease, but the third and the fourth do not fall, unlike the fifth, which does. 3-2, 50% hit rate today for Hallström, and he will be disappointed with that, especially given the fact that he is racing now around about the time where many others were able to hit the targets. The mind can be ferociously impactful on the shooting, as Hallström knows all too well. But a powerful skier, a dynamic exit of the range, leading into skate 1 up the hill, which from the commentary booth I can still see him doing the doppeldance, as the Norwegians say. He is attacking with absolute ferocity up this hill under the Volkswagen archway, as Knut Wikström of Sweden now settles and prepares for his stand shooting. So far, so good for the young Swede, until the last shot, which doesn't go down, but still very good shooting. 80% hit rate, both in prone and stand. And now finding himself in 43rd position, coming out of the second shoot. And this really now is such a great aspect of biathlon, where we have the privilege to watch some of these lesser known biathletes perform in these races and demonstrate all of the steps that lead towards champions, because these are the future champions of biathlon. 3 minutes behind might seem significant and non-substantive now, but for the likes of Maria Klapka, we can expect to see him partaking in World Cup races in years to come. And 3 minutes and 42 seconds behind the incredibly impressive Lucas Fratscher, who would not have expected to have started first and finished first today. Will be absolutely thrilled with that race. We saw the same happen yesterday. The first starter, Sebastian Samuelsson, he won. The same happened today. Lucas Fratscher, bib number 1, he claimed the victory. Completely coincidentally, the second finisher yesterday, wearing bib 15, Philip Horn, and wearing bib 15 was the second finisher today as well, so a complete coincidence, but something worth pointing out, that the first 2 were wearing the exact same bibs as yesterday. Now I'm looking for correlations in the finishing orders, finding patterns where there are none. But speaking of patterns, biathlon is all about patterns and finding a rhythm or principles that are applicable in lots of different scenarios, when there's wind, when there's not, when the heart rate is incredibly high, or when it is in control. How to control the variables. And that's by having different processes which enable these biathletes to apply them like tools. A process that might work better in a range where the approach is very steep. For example, it could be 12 breaths before the first shot and 2 breaths in between. And now, Ola Opos, born in 1965, the oldest participant of the day. He settles down, having missed 4 in prone, but here for the absolute pleasure of this sport. And what a privilege it would be to be on that start field, expressing your love for the sport despite the pain and physical challenge of it. And yes, he's struggling, and the targets are not falling, but something tells me he absolutely loves the sport. Maybe his face telling a very different story there. But born in 1965, 60 years of age. Helmer Jonemark, missing 3 in prone. And over that plateau, managing to get into skate 2, and like I said, as the Norwegians call it, doppodance. Takes some power to be able to make that transition after climbing for a good minute of solid, painful climbing, all of which precedes the shooting range and makes the shooting even harder as the cloud takes away the glare of the sun on the shooting range. And Helmer Jonemark now has an opportunity where all eyes are on him. And also on the screen in the top right with the unknown biathlete who struggles across the line. Bib number 70, Maria Klapka of Poland. I think that might be a slightly different graphic. 79, Knut Wikström. And now Jonemark of Sweden, missing 3, and the last 3 off stand. A total of 6 out of 10 did not go down. And it does look as though the cloud has brought a slight shift of conditions. The wind is up once again.
I guess a little more than 10 minutes. From now on, 10-15 minutes. From now on, top 6 will be allowed at the service center and the competition office.
Well, here is the results from today's race. We have Lucas Fratcher, who claimed the victory, and David Zobel in second, Johannes Kuhn making it a German trio all on the podium. It has been a fantastic race with lots of unpredictability, with 3 of those racers all outside the top 14 finishing on the podium today, and none of the favorites making it to the top. Victor Berglund of Sweden doing a fantastic finish with 7th place and putting himself in contention for selection. And who knows what that can lead to for the young Swede. Emil Nyqvist finishing down in 17th place, Jesper Nelin in 14th. And in terms of the Swedes, we have Nyqvist 17th, or I should say Martin Ponsiluoma, the first and fastest Swede. Victor Berglund, the second fastest Swede of the day, with Sebastian Samuelsson being the third. Victor Brandt the fourth, and Melker Nordgren the fifth. Jesper Nelin all the way down in 6th. So a strong Swedish team with lots of depth now. And for those who have joined us for this race, I thank you. I have been Scott Dixon. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk you through the events as they unfold. And it has been such a cool privilege to see a race such as this be broadcast internationally. So more of that to come in future years. As for the rest of the World Cup season and the Olympic season to come, there is so much excitement. So do come and watch that and get involved wherever possible. Eurovision Sport, of course, will be broadcasting that far and wide. So thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of this day and this race.
Potonjecki from Poland, just now right to the finish, rank number 66. Här kommer Fredrik Fjäll från Estonia, Belbe. Rank number 48. Belbe som startar näst sist. The second last starter, Fredrik Belbe from Estonia, standing up with one penalty only. Det är bra. Skjuter. Går in på en 48:e plats, position number 48. Sätta på spänn för Sverigepremiären 2025 på Idre Fjäll. Vi tackar alla som har deltagit och bidragit till den här fina skidskyttefesten här på de här 2 tävlingsdagarna, lördag och söndag på Idre Fjäll. Och därmed så är säsongen igång. Jörnmark och Selberg. Landar på en 74:e plats, ja, så är det. Och därmed så är vi då